1. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, relationships are all very different, and the problem with social media and uniquely the rise of the narrative is that it puts a lot of these rich, popular, and famous people as the ones like dictating how relationships are and what they should be. Meaning, okay, even if at best this is out of something of gratitude, meaning I'm being thankful for the small things that my partner does, the response here is very simple. What about the majority of people who are currently struggling or grappling with their relationship because they haven't yet found that compatibility of what person A wants to give and receive and what person B is capable of giving and receiving. Meaning, palakpakan, props to those people who sa start pa lang compatible na or throughout the journey of the relationship, it's all good. But for average people, which I think is particularly fair to assume, that's where, especially maybe among Gen Z or those who are younger or those who are less mature, really struggle with. And the problem with that particular facet of the narrative is that it portrays this relationship as being completely fine and dandy and thankful and kumbaya. But the reality is that when that person disappoints, even if it's his fault, but also for the instance where they don't know or you're still in the process of getting to know each other, it again puts this point of comparison. Meaning, the yardstick analogy that my partners mentioned still stand in the debate because even if you're not emotionally charged and that you're thankful, we still have to understand how not all people can perceive it that way, and that some people can perceive it as like, oy, sila, happy sila, so thankful. How about you? So again, even if you're comparing it on something good that works for that person posting because they genuinely believe that, but when you compare it against something that isn't being done, when they reverse the arguments and say, oh, you're not being thankful, is for all of the harms that we say unlock. Yeah, POI, go for it, sure.
So do you think that comparison is always inherently a bad thing?
It's not always inherently bad, but the nuance to this narrative is that it primarily compares for the wrong reasons, even if it's motivated by something right. That's what I was saying in my pre-oration, meaning that person who posted the content, they might be genuinely happy na, oh my God, I'm so thankful because they appreciate it. If he could, he wanted to. But when people see that kind of thing, they can react in one of two ways. One, they can react in the bad way that my partners talked about, which they haven't responded to, or even if they react in a good way, it still creates that expectation from the other person to have to give it. Fine, sure, in the minority of cases where everyone is so mature, everyone is so empathetic, everyone is so like legit, then yay, I see gratitude, I'll be grateful too. But like, Chair, let's be real, right? That argument kind of works in debate land, but like in the social sphere or in the algorithm and in the narrative, the spirit of the motion that they have to defend and respond to us also is really on that particular comparison on how people end up having escalatory expectations, because if someone like poor sees something solid, their benchmark for happiness becomes that something solid. Alam mo yun? Even if that middle class or rich person genuinely believes it. So it just makes people constantly compare, which is just a bad thing. And the rise of the narrative, which their side also has to like contend to and expound to respond to us on Gov to be able to have a chance at winning, they have to do it in the third speaker. I'll also take a POI towards 6 if you have another one, that's fine. What are the things that we've proven so far in this debate? What are the issues here? There are 4, right? The first is, what does this narrative really look like? Because side opposition takes a very narrow side of it, wherein people are so mature and so thankful, but the reality of it is that on average, it's not like that. Number 2, what does the rise of this narrative particularly do for people? Number 3, how does this affect the woman complaining and the dude being complained about? And number 4, most importantly, how is this worse off for society when they perceive particular relationships? Of which these are 4 points that my partners talked about, which remain unresponded to by the other side. I get the point of the previous speaker. In fact, I like the point that Tep raised na, hey man, it's about gratitude. But again, firstly, they had to like make it out a bit more, of which if they do it in whip, it's like building on the partner and a tad bit too late. And I already responded to that. But if I were to respond to that even more, right? Meaning, even if people mean well when they see this particular post, which let's assume that person wasn't complaining. They're really saying na, you know what, pag gusto may paraan, pag ayaw may dahilan. I'm so thankful for my partner John. He gave me this thing. He went out of his way. It unlocks the case of my deputy, because my deputy, in response to what we get from LO, talks about the permutation of love languages. The case of side opposition only works insofar as people genuinely being grateful, meaning magkatugma yun, and people perceiving that in a very comprehensive and emotionally mature way. But again, let's be real. We have to understand uniquely how the rise of this affects the Gen Z, affects young people. And you also have to contend with our framing, wherein there are majority of people who see shit on social media and want to be able to receive those things. It's very simple advertising and marketing, guys. Like, if you see this movie on social media, hey, I want to go on this movie fucking date. You see this cruise to Japan or whatever. It's a natural human phenomena, whether you're good, whether you're bad, to just want to get what's better. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Meaning, we're not saying that people are all bad, but we're saying that at the point in which this narrative and the rise of it uniquely makes that anchor point of the relationship on someone else, on something else, even if you mean well, and even if that content means well, just makes it less proximate to you and makes it just less happy at the point in which you're measuring your own happiness based on someone else's yardstick. For all of these reasons, we're very proud to stand inside proposition. Thanks.